Josef Mengele, aptly referred to as the Angel of Death, was the very personification of evil and easily one of the worst Nazi criminals from World War II. Described as a sadistic and extreme anti-Semite, Mengele, as an SS officer and physician at Auschwitz, carried out some truly horrific human experiments on prisoners, and would be well documented for his dictatorial role in selecting victims for the gas chambers. As chief physician for the camp, Mengele would personally oversee the use of Zyklon B, used at the Birkenau gas chambers. With his scientific endeavours predicated on proving the Nazi ideology of the genetic superiority of the Aryan race, his experiments expectedly crossed every line of human decency, his work at the Birkenau subcamp greatly admired by the Third Reich's leadership. Unlike the other SS doctors at the camp who found the selection process stressful, Mengele often partook in the task without assignment, seeking out test subjects whilst bearing a gleeful smile. With the camp as a perfect setting to continue his anthropological studies into hereditary, born from his doctorate obtained from the University of Munich in 1935, Mengele would restart his research on twins, running extensive experiments on children whom he introduced himself as Uncle Mengele, often bearing sweets and a friendly demeanour. During the doctor's time at Auschwitz, he would personally oversee the weekly examinations of the twins. His horrific experiments, absent of morality and scientific standards, would include the amputation of limbs, intentional infection of victims with diseases such as typhus, and forced blood transfusions. One doctor even recalled the Angel of Death personally killing 14 twins in one night, injecting their hearts with chloroform. If any one twin died during these dreadful acts, Mengele would often kill the other, comparing both their bodies in his post-mortem studies. Mengele was even witnessed to have sewn 2 Romani twins together back to back, attempting to artificially create conjoined twins. Both would suffer over the next few days, before eventually dying of gangrene. Not limiting himself to children, the sadist of Auschwitz also showed a proclivity towards the physically deformed, dwarfs, and pregnant women, crossing into the realm of pure horror. Mengele would perform vivisections without anesthesia, removing organs while victims were still fully conscious. Of equal disgust were his eye experiments, with his work attempting to change the eye colours through chemical injections. Almost all of his victims died from these brutal acts, with any survivors thereafter promptly shipped off to the gas chambers after they had fulfilled their use. With these heinous acts in mind, we therefore must ask, how did Mengele, easily considered one of the most sadistic and evil men of the 20th century, evade capture and punishment for his crimes against humanity, which befell other officials of the Nazi hierarchy at the 1945 Nuremberg trials? Unfortunate for justice, Mengele would be successful in avoiding retribution through a disguised identity as a Wehrmacht officer after fleeing Gross-Rosen concentration camp, a camp in which he had transferred to a week prior to the Red Army's arrival at Auschwitz. The doctor avoiding capture in Czechoslovakia by the Russian army, he would instead be taken as a POW by the Americans in June. However, graced by the luck of the devil, Mengele's fortune would continue due to the Allies' issue in properly documenting prisoners of war and identifying those on the wanted list. Released in July, Mengele would gain access to false papers under the name of Fritz Ullmann, subsequently altered to Fritz Hollmann. He would use the rat lines in Italy in 1949, obtaining a passport for international travel by the Red Cross under the name Helmut Grogger. Mengele would reach South America. Jumping around the continent, the Doctor of Death would first reside in Argentina, whilst also taking frequent business trips to Paraguay as a sales rep for a farm supplies company. Infuriatingly, declassified documents released by the Argentinian government in 1992 concluded Mengele may have even continued his experiments with forced abortions. Following the Israeli Mossad and West German government stepping up their efforts to see out his capture, Mengele would once again be helped by Nazi sympathizers in South America. Mengele would seek refuge in Brazil, later purchasing a farm near Sao Paulo in 1962 with Hungarian expatriates. As revealed by his son Rolf after their meeting in 1977, his father was said to be completely unrepentant for his acts at Birkenau by saying he was simply following orders of high command. From his success at avoiding the Nuremberg trials and true punishment for his heinous acts at the camps, Mengele would finally die in 1979, drowning from a stroke at a beach resort in Brazil. Only on the 6th of June 1985 would the doctor's grave be found, following a raid by German intelligence on a property linked to the doctor. Rather ironically and justifiably fitting to his crime, Mengele's bones now reside at the Sao Paulo Institute of Forensic Medicine, with the doctor's skull finding use at the medical school. An abhorrent, wicked, and truly evil man. May we hope the Angel of Death is burning in hell for his devilish crimes.